we're going to make some tools and strategies. And especially this morning is going to be dedicated to workshopping with Beth Hess and from Keys to Your Brand. And she's going to be doing live content converting mini messaging makeovers. And she's actually going to have 2 slots this morning because our beloved Pinterest manager, Barbara Silverstrand, is sick. She is not feeling well. And so we have switched around our schedule a little bit. So we're going to have Beth all morning until lunch. And then after lunch, we're going to have Joanne Homestead come back and we're going to talk about writing email nurture sequences this fall. So lots of copy, writing and crafting our message and getting that just right, fine tuning that today. And really so much of our selling kind of begins with our copy and bringing our people forward, having them self-select. And then we get the opportunity to talk to them and possibly bring them into our programs. So what we're going to do with Beth is she has 2 people who are VIPs and were chosen on the wheel as winners. And she contacted them ahead of time to make sure that they were going to be here and that she could redo their messaging for them live. They're both good. Yeah. Okay. And we're going to kind of watch her do her magic and do the transformation. So I think this is going to be a whole lot of fun. And Beth is an amazing teacher. So you guys are going to truly enjoy her. And I'll let you take it away and introduce yourself a little bit more if you'd like, Beth. Go ahead.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I'm coming to you from North Carolina, so east coast of the U.S. It's actually starting to feel like spring around here. I know some of you are in the great north. I actually had a dream last night that I woke up to snow, and I was like, "What?" Anyway, we don't do snow in North Carolina. I came from Colorado and snow all the time. And I remember when I first moved here, I was in a Target and everybody started going like, "There's snow flurries, get home. There's snow flurries." I'm like, what is wrong with you people in North Carolina? But
we've got all the school buses canceled today because of freezing rain. So
okay.
Yeah, it's it's still winter here.
Yeah. Well, I do some work with our local botanical garden, and yesterday, the daffodils are blooming and the cherry blossom trees are popping out. So come on down to North Carolina if you want to hang out in person. So, Brooke, I can share my screen. Yes. Awesome. And I am doing my best to keep an eye on the chat here as well. So please feel free to utilize that. I love having conversations with people. So don't make me just talk to myself the next little bit. Let's make this conversational in approach. Brooke, you'll help me if I miss something in the chat. And okay, awesome. Thank you. So this whole summit about selling with confidence. And my specialty, I call myself the word girl. So my specialty is helping you find the language that is going to bring in your ideal customers and filter out the people that aren't your ideal customers. And so we'll talk about that a little bit here. So shortly, I am going to jump right in live with a couple of folks and look at some pages. It's one of my absolute favorite things to do. But I wanted to give you a little bit of background about where I'm kind of coming from and what we do here. As Brooke mentioned, the name of my company is called Keys to Your Brand. Keys have always been an important symbol to me. I won't say always, but probably for the last 10 years or so. And it really comes from this idea that I believe one of my roles on this planet is to help people remember who they are. And I can hand you a key to help you unlock something that you need support in, but it's going to be up to you to actually put it in the lock, turn it, and move forward. So when it'll be 3 years in May that I started my own business. after being politely asked to leave my corporate job during 2022 or 2020, and politely meaning I'd been there long enough they had to pay me to go away, which was okay with me at the moment. And just kind of got back to that place of remember who I am, what I'm good at, what I want to do for people on this planet. And I'm a longtime journalist. So you will hear me ask lots of questions because that's how I think we get to really good answers. So let me give you my philosophy here a little bit so you will understand. Most marketing gurus are going to tell you that the role of marketing is to get people to say yes to your product, that we're trying to make the sale, to close on a product, or to get to the yes. And I believe that we would really all be much happier in our lives if we worried more about attracting the people that we can have a happily ever after with. So in the same way that a yes to a marriage proposal isn't the end of the conversation there, that's just really the beginning of what we want. The heart of the clients that I work with, and because I know who Brooke attracts to her circle, I can suspect the heart of people in this room is not just to make sales, but to change lives. And when we come at this from the perspective of we want the customers to work with us, who is most likely to be happily ever after for both them and for us, our messaging changed from the very beginning, because we're no longer convincing people that they need what we have. We're just inviting the people who already know that to come into our space. And so through that, one day I was sitting at a coffee shop. I always come back. Did I click too fast? I always forget these are animated because I edit everything as it's still, and then all of a sudden everything goes. Anyway, I don't know why that went away. Maybe I can pause it. I believe messaging is marketing is matchmaking. Okay, it's bringing the right people together for what they need to do, and our messaging is the way that we connect with each other. Which means that I developed a series of 6 key questions we're going to talk about later that are the questions that your messaging must answer in order for people to know whether they're a good fit for you or not. Because at the end of the day, you don't want anyone to say yes to your proposal, to say yes to your marriage proposal, so to speak, to say yes to your offer that isn't going to be somebody that you enjoy working with, that isn't going to be somebody who wants to do it the way that you do it, or is somebody who isn't going to do the necessary work to get the results, right? So all those things we have to be looking at the end. And what I really believe more than anything else, if any of you ever seen this icon before, that it was never a dress. What I really believe is that all of us are using our businesses to be superheroes in disguise. That isn't that the coolest, right? I saw it a few years ago, and as I was putting this together, it just popped in my mind because I've been having a lot of conversations with clients about this lately. And it'll probably happen as I'm chatting with a couple of you here in a little bit, is when I get in real close and I was like, but you know what you really do, what they don't know you're doing for them, right? Like we're all on this secret mission. I have realized in the last few years, my secret mission is in every conversation that I have with people. In some way, I want to remind them who they are. And sometimes I look people in the eye when I go through the drive-through. So for a moment, they remember they're not just a cog in this wheel, but we're 2 human beings making some kind of a connection. Right. And so I actually start out my day. I was like, all right, who do you want me to remind who they are? Before I came on this call, I'm going to be totally honest with you. I was doing my little, like Brooke teaches everybody, I did my little hype yourself up dance in the background, right? And I was like, out of me came this little song of like, remind them who they are, remind them who they are, kind of deal. That's my secret mission on this planet. You all have one. Your business is just your superhero disguise. Okay. And so when we come from that place, you don't have to go around telling people that in your exact words. But when you know that that's what's going on, all your messaging flows from there. And I know that that's kind of a lot of theoretical stuff up here, and I love talking about that. But I also love the practical application. And that's why when I was talking with Brooke, I was like, I want to show people in live time what this kind of looks like. So, Maxine is here. Maxine is one of our, hey, Maxine. Maxine was one of our VIP folks who won this session with us. And so I want to share with you all, I did ask Maxine, and then we're going to be talking to Sarah after we're done talking with Maxine. So I did get a little information from each of those ladies in advance, just to see their website and that type of thing, and also to let them know that this is just going to be a conversation. I'm not putting anybody on the spot. This is not ambush makeovers. We're not going to be doing any of that. We are in a safe, judgment-free zone here, where we already know that everybody on this call is amazing and in support of everyone's businesses, and that we are here for you. All right. So with that in mind, Maxine, if you want to go ahead and unmute, and if everyone else will make sure that you are on mute. Getting a little background noise from somewhere. So if you'll just double check and make sure that you're on mute, unless you are Maxine. Maxine is a Christian life coach, and we are going to look at what you sent me, Maxine, is your Facebook page. That's the main way that you're communicating with people right now. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. So I'm going to pull that over here so we can all look at it together. So typically we're gonna have about 30-ish, 20 to 30-ish minutes here together, Maxine. So we won't have time to dig into every single aspect. What is most important to you? Where do you feel most stuck in your messaging, or where do you have the biggest question of, I don't think I'm saying this right?
Yeah, that's a great question. So hi, everybody. Thank you so much for doing this for me. So I think I'd probably just want to get some feedback on my kind of one-liner, which is that part that's in the banner. And so something I've been kind of workshopping for the last year. And then I'd probably say the part that has the most kind of content would be about 5 posts down. It's talking about my launch package. So if you keep scrolling down.
Yeah, you have a lot of detail in here too.
And you're welcome to give me feedback about that section as well. But what I typically advertise is my launch package. So I think maybe some help with that language right here. So I have a little video too, if you want to hear it, but basically just trying to figure out. So I think a couple of my challenges have been, just to give a little bit of history, is I certified as a life coach at a ministry school. And then for the first 2 years, I struggled to even call myself a Christian life coach because I didn't want to exclude anybody. And finally, in the last few months, I finally decided, okay, 100% of my clients have been Christian. So, and this is really truly who I want to work with if I don't have a scarcity mentality. So I basically just rebranded recently as a Christian life coach, put that in my language. And essentially the main package I'm selling is I kind of looked at who I tend to work with and what I like to help people with. And it's sort of kind of basically, I'm kind of a general life coach, but the package is like a launch package where I help people who are like trying to pursue some kind of dream or like professional thing or something, and basically kind of work with them in those first 6 sessions to help them overcome limiting mindsets, overwhelm, like break it down into smaller steps, etc. So I think what maybe part of where I've struggled is like a lot of people say that you have to niche like into something really specific, and I still don't know if my messaging is specific enough, but I think I'm not ready yet to like niche to something so specific. Like I help women lose weight. Like I do want to just kind of help anybody with whatever dream is on their heart, whether they want to write a book or whether they want to like, I don't know, do something else. So yeah. So anyway, I think it's been a little bit tough because I used to be a photographer and it was really easy to market. And now I'm like, I don't know if people understand what coaching means. And I don't know if my language just feels too fluffy for people to really like feel like, oh, that's me. So those are some things I struggle with. Primarily, I advertise over my social media. So it's usually kind of to people I know, but I'm also hoping to branch out to like putting out an actual website. And then how do I reach people who are strangers who don't necessarily know me personally?
Yep. Okay. Awesome. So if we work this back, here's what I believe about niche. Okay. You niche because there's a minimum barrier to entry to working with you.
Okay.
Right. And by that, I mean, like the analogy just works, guys. So we're going to talk about relationships and stuff here. Right. So when we were dating, when we were out there in the world trying to figure out who we wanted to spend the rest of our lives with, there was probably a minimum barrier to entry to I will have a first date with you. Okay. And it can be anything. It doesn't have to be, height, job, whatever. It could be, I will always have to have a dog in my house, so I can't marry someone who doesn't want dogs. That's a valid minimum barrier to entry, right? And so if that's what you want and you're happily ever after, you have to talk about that early in the process, right? Nobody wants to, you don't slide and we will always have dogs into the marriage vows. Like that is way too late in the process to be making that determination and decide who okay, now, or people who like slip that kind of stuff into their contracts when they're doing consulting. And it's like, wait a second, what are we doing here? Okay. So that is not in any way to say that you are not diverse in your thinking, that you're leaving people out, that you're exclusive, right? The fact that I don't want to marry someone, the fact that I don't want to date you doesn't make you undateable. Okay. You understand what I'm saying there? Meaning, I'm just not the right coach for you if you don't want to do it this way, if you don't believe these things, if you're not willing to A, B, and C. And it's actually the kindest thing that you can do to help those people find somebody else as early in the process as possible. Okay. So to me, that's what niching means. And it doesn't mean you have to only let people, that I'm only helping you lose weight, that I'm only helping you do it. Those are programs that you could do at different times. Although if that was your entry too, right? Like I've decided at some point, like I woke up one day and went, girl, you have a journalism degree on your wall. Why are you not talking to people about words? Because I was trying to do the whole thing. And so my niche became, I am super good at this. This is what I love to talk about. And the application of how that happens will just work itself out. But the minimum barrier to entry with me is that one, you're doing something that actually changed the world. If you're, and sorry, I don't suspect that everybody's going to jump off now, but if you're here because you're trying to figure out how to make fast money without changing anybody's lives, this is not the summit for you. That's not what we're here for. So I work with people. I tell everybody, all of my clients change the world. At some point, and what we're going to do is, and then we change the world. and I believe that the words that we use can help change the world. Tell me what you believe life coaching can do to change the world.
Yeah, I think that I think like what I usually kind of say is like life coaching can help you get from where you are to where you're going with less blood, sweat, and tears than you could on your own.
Okay.
And so I think sometimes if you don't have a coach, like you just never get started because you get stuck a lot in your own mind drama. And so a lot of what I work on is being a mindset coach and helping people to just overcome their own overwhelm, their own limiting beliefs. A lot of those limiting beliefs come from past disappointments, things like that as well. So I think this is why I actually decided to niche down to Christians, because I do like helping everybody, but I think just because my faith is such a big part of my life, I also want to help move forward kingdom. So if I can help other people accomplish their kingdom dreams, like I get to help expand the kingdom in that way and like help to multiply my impact through unlocking other people into their destinies.
Okay. Later, when you get the recording of this, I hope that you will go find that phrase and you will put that in your marketing. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's why I do this conversational style. This is why I use my journalism approach where we just talk, because a lot of people get all seized up in the writing, but we can talk about what we do for a long time. And so that's why I record all my sessions and I put them in a transcription app. And then I go through and I highlight, hey, did you realize you said this thing? And then you figure it out. For example, in your conversation here, there was a phrase that really popped out to me. Had it highlighted before and then we scrolled off. And this is when you were talking about yourself, which I highlight. Here you go. Looking back, I can point to a few truly life-changing conversations that expanded my perspective and gave me the courage and the next steps to pursue my dreams. So who are you as the coach? You're talking here about you being in the coachee seat, so to speak, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who are you then? Use that same idea, but say it from the perspective of I am the one who helps you. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
Don't overthink it. Just whether you.
Yeah.
We're not writing perfect copy at the moment.
Right.
So just what comes out.
Yeah, I think I would just say like through our conversations, I can help you to expand your perspective and help you give the courage to pursue your dreams, basically.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Tell me more about how you do that. I say, Maxine, that sounds fantastic. I need some of that in my life. What's the first step? What do we do now?
Yeah. So this is kind of where I've tweaked my language to like kind of 4 key points, and that's that post five steps down. So I kind of concised it down to like 4 things. So the first is like helping you to cultivate your vision, clarify your vision.
Okay.
So the second is to connect you to your motivation. The third is to cultivate healthy mindsets. And then the fourth is to create a practical roadmap. They all start with C, so I always remember those 4 things.
Love it.
Yeah. So those kind of those 4 steps there. Yeah.
Yep. Awesome.
Because these are like the main things I realized I help people do. Like mostly 3 and 4, but also 1 and 2 as well if people need help with those areas.
Okay. So I'm gonna let's get really super basic about these. Okay. So clarify your vision.
Mm-hmm.
How are we going to do that? What tools and techniques do you use to help me clarify my vision?
Yeah. So like probably one of the key ones that comes to mind is we do this exercise called like your ideal future. So it's like talking to a client and saying, okay, let's talk 6 months or a year from now, like put yourself there. And we actually go through kind of a visualization technique to just talk through like, tell me in that future tense, what's happening, who are you talking to? What's the impact? What is your purpose? What does your day-to-day look like? Things like that. Clarifying your vision can also look like potentially getting a better understanding of like how you work, your core values, how your calling and your passion align to your purpose, and those types of things as well.
Okay. And is that that future you, is that a worksheet that I fill out? Is that a video I watch? Is that a conversation we have? Is it
I would say
how do we do that?
Yeah, I'd say all these steps are conversations that we have. Like I'd probably say, so these are 4 steps, and there's 6 sessions that I advertise, but I kind of say like, I don't say like number 1 session, we're going to do this and this. Number 2 session, we're going to do this and this. I tailor it to the person because some people already have a super clear vision. So we're like, great, let's jump right into mindsets or whatnot. But yeah, so it kind of just depends on where they're at with the process for where we go.
Okay. What in the clarify your vision stage,
Mm-hmm.
what are you asking the client to do? What is the role of the client at that stage?
Yeah. So as a coach, like I would call myself sort of like a pure coach in the sense that I'm not your advisor and I don't tell you what to do. A lot of what I do is I ask questions that help you to process and think about things in a bigger way. So as a coach, like my job is just to ask you questions, and your job is to just engage with that and actually like dig deep and kind of like be willing to surface things that maybe you haven't surfaced before, so that we can put it all on the table. And then I help you
Okay.
kind of like repeat back what I'm hearing or make connections or whatnot. But a lot of it is just basically having that kind of perspective expanding conversation so that you understand more about yourself and kind of pull out that wisdom that's within you as well.
And how can your client best be prepared for that step, that session? Is there any work they need to do in advance?
Usually the only work I'll have them do in advance or we'll do live in the call is we'll do like the wheel of life. So which is kind of
Okay.
like basically there's 10 areas, we have them rate kind of where they're at. But I'm not usually like a homework giving coach typically. Like typically we do
Okay.
the work in the session itself. Just because every
Yeah.
person is so different about what they need and where we would not want to go. So a lot of it's really organic. It happens in the session.
Okay. So when I show up to that first session,
Mhm.
all I need is myself and what else? Anything?
I would say like you'd have to be like on board with like knowing that you have to be at least motivated enough to like start the process.
Okay.
And even though I have this as my step 1, to be honest, like if you're really not sure what you want to go after, I think you may not be my ideal client. Like usually my clients have something that they know they're going after. Like they're like, I recently worked with someone who wanted to be an author and she had just gotten stuck. Like she wasn't writing anymore. And so we were like, okay, so we know you want to start writing again. Let's actually set up a 3-month goal, figure out where you want to
Okay.
be in 3 months. And then like, let's get there.
Okay.
So I would say like, you probably have to have some big sense of like what you want to do. And then know that you want to work with a coach to help you get to where you want to go.
Yes. That's super important. That's your minimum barrier to entry.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I think also when you said, I want to work with people who change the world, like that resonates with me as well. And I wonder if I need to work that into some minimum barrier for entry too, because
Yeah.
I'm less excited about like, I don't know, something really random, but more excited about like partnering with people in their God dreams. But I also didn't want to use language that like would confuse people, because I kind of pulled a couple people and they're like, well, if you say like God dreams, like, I don't know if my dream is a God dream. Like, so I kind of just left it kind of generic, like big dream, big goal. But ideally I'd be working with someone who's got like a God dream on your heart. Like this author like wants to write books to influence people for generations. Like I'm like that, I can really resonate with that, for example.
Okay. Do you think that your perfect client, the one that you're like my phone rings right now, my email, however people get in touch with you and they say, this is what I'm trying to do. And you're like, oh, this is what I love to do the most. I'm so excited about this.
Yeah.
Does that person know what it means to have a God dream?
I don't know if I would say it exactly that way, but I think that I get excited when their dream clearly connects to uh impacting uh like clearly connects to like impacting the world in a and I think because I have such a desire to impact Christians, like especially when they have a desire to impact Christians as well, like this woman who wanted to write this book, for example, I get really excited about that. But I
Yeah.
don't know if they, I mean, I would think to some degree they kind of know, I guess, because I'm so purpose oriented, like I wouldn't get motivated about something unless I also knew that it was going to impact someone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm a huge fan of adjectives.
Okay.
Adjectives are where we niche, where we clarify, where we help people self-select, like Brooke said earlier, right? Our messaging is a filter. Every piece of your messaging should help people either go, oh, yeah, that's what I want, or I don't know about that. And
Okay.
what happens as small business owners is we get really afraid that too many people are going to back up.
Mm.
And so we cast wide nets. But what happens when people back up is they just go, yeah, I don't know if that's quite right for me or not. I don't know. And then
Yeah.
they don't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Confused people don't buy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. Like Brooke said, wide nets don't catch fish. They do, but you get a lot of fish and other crap in it you don't want.
Sure.
And then you got to spend all your time finding the right fish. Good messaging is going to bait the hook for the fish you want. Okay.
Yeah.
So I would love for you to play with the what word goes before dreams. We're talking about adjectives here, right? I help Christians who are struggling to pursue their dreams. Okay.
Mm.
Is that God dreams? Is it impact the world dreams?
Mm.
Is it fulfill your purpose dreams?
Mm.
Is it what kind of dreams are we talking about?
Mm.
Long buried dreams?
Yeah, that's good.
Can't not do this anymore dreams?
Yeah.
I feel a fire under my butt dreams? Like there's all kinds of words you can use there.
Yeah.
But just adding that one word
Mm.
to the dreams, you see how that pulls people in? And now I
Yeah.
don't go, okay, pursue their dreams. Does she mean like dreams of owning a beachfront property?
Mm.
Well, maybe if there's purpose behind that, and if there's, if God has placed that on your heart, if,
Yeah.
that type of things, but,
Mm.
soul dreams, I don't know, you're going to have to play around with that.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
does that make sense to you?
Yeah, I think this was probably just me waffling again on how much to niche, because I was like,
Right.
I put dreams and goals because I'm like, I don't know, like maybe it's just they don't even think about it as a dream. Maybe it's just a big goal they want to go after. Like I help someone make a career transition, So I guess I need to think through like, am I okay niching again and just saying like, because you're right, like my ideal client really is someone who's going after like a God dream.
Right.
And am I willing to niche again and take the plunge and say, I'm okay to filter out these other people and really
Yeah.
go after this? And maybe I don't have enough confidence because my reach isn't super big right now. I don't know.
I completely understand. I've walked through, like I said, I'm almost 3 years in this, and I know we all start from that. Well, I really could help anybody because I want to be able to, I don't want to limit myself.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
But, again, you can, when you bait your hook for the fish that you want to catch, and I'm not a fisherman, but it just works. We all get the analogy, right? Sometimes you catch things you didn't intend,
Yeah.
and you don't have to throw them back,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
You don't have to say, oh, nope, sorry. You got on the hook. This felt good to you. This felt right to you. That's the point where you ask the fish some clarifying questions and figure out whether or not they belong on your boat.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay. But if you will, I know this is a scary thought, but does it feel maybe even a little okay with you that it's more important that the people that you can really, really serve the best and that you love the best have a stronger instinct to come towards you than the ones that might be on the edge you might lose? I didn't ask
Yeah.
that question very well, but do you
No, it's a
understand what
great
I'm
question. Yeah, I
saying?
understand what you're saying. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because you will try, and you don't always have to define, right? Like you could put soul dreams, you could put God dreams, you whatever. You don't always have to, that doesn't have to be your definition of God dreams. If that makes them go, wait a minute, I think she's speaking my language. Because what messaging really is that have you ever been in a foreign country, but you hear somebody else speaking English and you're like, whoa, that okay, that
Mhm.
sort of concept. Or, I'm a St. Louis Cardinal sports fan and you don't see a lot of them in North Carolina. So when a Cardinals jersey pops up, I'm like, I see you. We have a common language.
Mhm.
That's my people, that Brooke said,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And so when you say things like, furthering the kingdom, whatever, what you're doing is you're sending out that radar of people that like, whoa, let me turn that direction.
Mm.
And it's not that you can't help other people. It's not that we're excluding other people. It's
Mhm.
helping the right people know they're in the right
Mm. Yeah, that's good.
place. Okay.
Mhm.
So I want to go back to this, how you do what you do. So in clarifying your vision. And so part of what I asked you there of the, what do people have to bring to that first session?
Mhm.
Okay. We attract people with, people buy from their hearts. We make almost all of our buying decisions emotionally. Even just, what am I going to have for lunch is usually, what we really want to do is based off of what our emotions tell us what we want to do and not have to look at the calorie count and the whatever, right? Like
Mhm.
we make most of our buying decisions emotionally.
Mhm.
Buyer's remorse comes from our heads.
Mm.
Buyer's remorse is when we go, wait a minute, what did I just buy? Or what is she going to ask me to do now? Or I'm really scared about what just happened here. Or that's where people won't go all in. So what I really encourage you to do is to look at each of these stages of what you do. And
Mhm.
there's some core questions in here, because I'm sorry, I should have put these on the same screen. So I'm not okay. So what you're saying is at the end of this, you will have confidence and momentum towards your goals. Right?
Mhm.
Okay. So then each of these steps, it's important to ask, how does this help get us there?
Okay.
And spell it out. Clarifying your vision is important to gaining momentum. Why?
Mm.
Tell me in your words. Why do we have to do that?
Mhm. Okay. So you're saying not necessarily focus on the how, but really the why? Because I've also heard like you don't really need to go into all the how right away because, you know.
Well, okay, so here's what I'm really here's what I typically do. We get like, we go big. We get all the content out there. And when I work with clients, we have like spreadsheets and words over here and thoughts over there and all the things that I want to say. Because I promise you that as you dig into each one of these, I'm not suggesting that your website has to have all of this language there. We're not working right now on exact what should this post say, although I'll come back to that for you here in a second of some things that you could put in here. But when you actually look through and you're like, this matters because of this, and this matters because of this. And the next question, well, let me put it this way. I'm just going to ask you the question. Clarifying your vision, you help people see the future. Tell me, why are you good at that, Maxine?
Why am I good at helping people clarify their vision?
Yeah.
I think just because I know what questions to ask. I'm a good listener, and I can help people articulate things that they've kind of thrown out there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And why are you a good question asker?
Because I'm studying my craft and I'm genuinely curious and interested in helping them make sense of their lives and like simplify the confusion.
So tell me about where else has curiosity shown up in your life?
Well, I'm also a user experience researcher. So literally like most of my job is asking questions in the daytime in my corporate job as well. So my job is, yeah.
User
So basically
experience researcher.
Yeah. So basically I work with like we're trying to design a product. And so I go and I talk to the end users and I try to I interview them to understand like what their problems are. So that I can synthesize the information and explain like these are their problems, these are their goals. And I love to be like a champion and like to help like champion my end users and say like and help represent them to make sure that we create products that actually meet their needs.
And do you think that makes you a better life coach?
Yes. Yeah.
Do you think maybe you should be talking about that?
I guess so. I don't know. I don't know. I never really thought about it.
And I don't mean this is what I do in my day job and but the who you are and why you kick butt at it.
Okay.
That's my own your amazingness formula. Right?
Yeah.
Like you've all already heard me say a couple of times that I'm a journalist. Okay. Just by saying that, when I realized that, I was like, I've been figuring out what people's stories are my whole life.
Yeah.
I've been telling other people's stories for a long time. When I sit down with somebody, I partly instinctively, partly through training, know what the next right question should be. I don't have a checklist here of, okay, Maxine, I'm going to take a survey now and we're going to go through each of these questions. We're having a conversation. As a naturally curious person, as a longtime storyteller, as a trained journalist, I am uniquely positioned to help you find your story.
That's good. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you are, as a user experience expert, you are uniquely positioned.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was part of like my language in the beginning where I said something like, as someone who has like, I've climbed the corporate ladder, but I've also like done ministry school and I've also done these things. So like, I kind of know what it looks like to try to like balance your faith and be in the corporate world and pursue your dreams. And so I think like you're saying, like expand that more and be more specific. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So not even just this is what I've done, but dig all the way into that means that I have these kinds of skills, and that's what I bring to you. Connect those dots for people.
Okay, that's good.
Go ahead and connect those dots, right?
Yeah.
Like you can say, I spend the bulk of my time advocating for users to make sure that they get the experience that they want of products. Totally fascinating to me, by the way. I totally want to know more about that. We'll have to talk later, because honestly, that's what we all do. That's, I mean, that was the process I just showed you here. We're going to start at the happily ever after and work our way backwards, right?
Yeah.
And I'm all about brands and businesses that understand that if it doesn't make sense to the user, it doesn't matter what you're doing.
Yeah.
It just doesn't matter. Okay. Yeah. So because of that, you partly instinctively, partly by trade, partly by experience of doing.
Yeah.
Are the kind of life coach who can what? You tell me.
You know, it's interesting because I'm thinking about what you're saying. I'm a researcher and I'm a designer. So I understand what people need and I design the products that they need. And so it's like, I think translating that into like I can help you like make sense of like kind of the chaos and actually help you like I also have really resonate with this phrase, like designing your life. It's a book actually, but like I like that idea of like helping people design their lives as well.
Okay.
In a way that it is resonant with really what they're looking for. Like even as a researcher and a designer, I completely take myself out of it. I'm like, I am here to serve you. I am like a neutral point. Like I'm just here to help like create the thing that you want. So something around that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So be thinking more along that. Here's another place that I believe the traditional, like, here's how you market stuff philosophy has done us all a disservice. Especially those of us that are trying to do impactful things in the world, is that we say people don't care about you, they only care about themselves. Don't talk about yourself. They only care what you can give them. They don't care who you are. I don't think so. That may be true for emergency plumbing. Okay. But not for the person I'm going to invite to be my life coach.
Okay.
That might be true for who's running the taco stand, but it's not true for who I would want to spend hours with to help guide me towards this dream that I haven't been able to knock through.
Yeah.
And for me to know more about you, I mean, you are the key to your business. There's lots of coaches out there. There's lots of Christian life coaches out there. Whatever you decide your niche is, there's going to be lots of them. That's just the truth. You don't have to niche yourself into a unique position because you're already a unique creation. Thank you. We go to church with my clients and I. We go to church. Most of our meetings end up. I just got the tingles at the top of my head, and that's where I know I'm onto something good. Okay. They need to know who they're partnering with.
Good.
They need to know the difference it made to you, and just from a I don't want to be scared of this process. They need to know a little bit of how are we actually going to do this? Okay, yeah, I could sit and talk to somebody. I feel comfortable with that approach. Or are they going to ask me to meditate? I don't know. Or are they going to ask me to, right? Yeah. That's where people go, that's what I mean by talk a little bit more about the how,
Okay.
which is the question I am answering that you asked along.
Mhm. Yeah. My understanding is kind of like get at the emotional part first as like you're pulling, and then as people kind of get further down into your funnel, like then you can kind of explain more of the other pieces. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Isn't that how we connect with human beings?
Mm.
You don't meet somebody at a backyard barbecue and go, well, they rattled off their statistics and that's really impressive. I want to talk to them again.
Right.
We connect with human beings over they're speaking my language about something.
Mm.
And then we say, okay, well, how would that work if we worked together?
Yeah.
Because that we have to have that emotional connect. If we're going to be happily ever after, we have to connect first at that level. And so I have to say that first in my content too. So if you don't want to go into that, you go back to you excuse yourself from this conversation, you go back to the buffet, and I get a chance to talk to somebody else at the barbecue.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Like they need to be able
Fair.
to envision what that looks like. And so you're gonna help them paint a better picture. Again, like if it's
Yeah.
gonna fit for them by saying how you're gonna be doing it with them.
Yes.
That's great.
So I would love for you to think with each of these steps of your process. And of course, everybody here on the call, write out if you haven't done this sort of process of the steps of this is what we do. And then from there, I want you to journal out. If you can't do journaling, fine. Talk it out. Put it in, open up a voice recorder app and just talk it out. Or take a friend to lunch and say, I need you to ask me these questions and I'm just going to talk, right? Whatever works for you. But I want you to think on these things.
Mm-hmm.
What actually happens at this stage? Okay. This is where I will ask you to consider your future self. I'm sorry, I'm not remembering your exact phrasing, right? This is what we do at this stage. So like I was working with a financial planner and it was like, if I was working with a financial planner, one of the things I want to know is when are you going to tell, when do you have to see my numbers? When do you have to see my budget? When are you going to ask me to collect all my stuff that I don't know where it is? Right. So this is the stage where we X.
Okay.
And maybe even this is where we have a conversation about. This is where you fill out a form. This is where get specific with people. Okay. So they get comfortable with knowing what you're going to do. This is a very important part of the process because, and link that back to this hire, right? This is an important step in gaining confidence and momentum because.
Yeah.
Why are we doing this? Why are you asking me to do this? Okay. This is a very important part of this process because we can't get from A to B without doing this because why?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. I'm really good at this part because.
It's good.
I am really good at this part because I'm naturally curious, because I'm not non-judgmental, like whatever in that process. Okay. And you are specifically and uniquely qualified to know what your client is thinking at that moment. That's what you do. So put yourself in their shoes. What are they going to be worried about at that stage? What questions are they going to have? What's going to keep this from what might keep them from saying yes to this in this moment?
Yeah.
And then answer those questions in your messaging. Okay. And if you go through that with each of your things, not only will you find like this financial planner, she's like, well, that's the stage where I give them my budgeting tool. I'm like, okay, tell me about your budgeting tool. She's like, well, I designed my own budgeting tool to whatever. And I was like, stop right there. you designed your own budgeting tool. Tell me why. Well, the other ones don't do enough this and enough that. I was like, okay, you need to tell people that you designed your own budgeting tool, right?
Yeah.
When you work with me, you are going to have a proprietary tool. You are
Mm.
going to have something you cannot get from anyone else.
Mhm.
And it is hard for us to see those things in ourselves
Yeah.
because we do them naturally.
Mm.
We just do it. And
Yeah.
frankly, we think everybody does it, right? You're
Yeah.
like, what life coach would possibly coach anybody without trying to clarify the vision of where we're going? That's ridiculous. But I'm here to tell you, they're doing it.
Mhm.
And so just for you to say, I don't skip this part, and here's why I don't skip it, because I know this is important, and I want you to know it's important. And by the way, I'm really, really good at it.
Mhm.
Don't you want to do it with me?
It's good. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Which means that then when you're looking at these stages again, and not necessarily, I'm not saying it has to be a post. I just talk content,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And so this might be deeper on the, like, you might have a really long section of this on your website for people who care to dig that far.
Sure.
But you might then pull out pieces of it, right? So like maybe you do a series of posts where you actually say, go deeper into just stage 1 and then stage 2 and stage
Okay.
3, 4.
Yeah.
Or I realized as I was going through it, the common thread in all these stages is,
Mm.
and now you're like, oh, that's something I need to hang my hat on.
Mm.
You can see the patterns more clearly when you
Yeah.
do that.
That's
So
awesome.
in this, though, when you're talking about, clarify your vision, if you're wanting to clarify a dream that's been dormant for a long time, I'll work with you to clarify a compelling vision and get excited about your future. Okay. Maybe even things like, and I know that I totally understand the idea that everything gets a little bit custom. So you don't want to say things like one whole session will be spent on whatever, but you can say things like, often my clients and I spend a whole session talking just about this stage
Okay.
because if we don't get this right for this reason, we won't get to where you're going, right?
Right.
Like I hire you to help me get up to Mount Everest, but you don't help me buy the right equipment at stage 1. It doesn't matter what you teach me in stage 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's why it's really important. This is how it's helpful. This is why I'm good at it. I obviously could talk about this for a really long time. I'm so grateful Brooke is giving me an extra amount of time so we can get Sarah on the call here too. But what thoughts, questions, anything you want to share, and anyone else feel free to jump into the chat with thoughts or feedback as well.
Yeah, I think this is really good. It gives me a lot of points to start working on. I think that, when you asked me that first question of like, what makes like, I don't know, so you're uniquely qualified or something. And I said, like, I love to help people unlock their dreams and expand the kingdom and stuff. And so some of me was wondering, like, that's my language, but, do I just use my language, or do I try to figure out what their language is for the things that I want to do and then really go after that language? Or is it the same thing? I guess I don't know, so that's, I guess, one of my questions.
Yeah. So Brooke made a good point earlier that I wanted to, in chat, that I wanted to come back to. Ask some of your clients these questions.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Can I chime in super quick?
Yes, please.
Yeah, so one of the things that my coaches, when I was first starting out, had me do was called niche interviews, which was just asking people that would be an ideal client, what words they use to describe what they're looking for. And that was some of the most valuable information that I ever could have gotten. And it was so foundational, so easy to skip. But when you find the words that the client uses instead of the words that you assume that they use, it can change everything. So something that might be worthwhile doing, even if it's 3 or 4 people, that could give you a lot of insight.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. And it's actually one of the things I do sometimes for my clients, because it can be hard for you to do for yourself too. And so I have a package where I do, me, the journalist, will call up some clients and just ask some questions. And it's not, I'm asking you for a review. We're just going to chat about what was your experience with Maxine? What did she actually do for you? What were you afraid of? What surprised you along the way? And how would you describe what we did to a friend? That's a big one. How would you describe what we did to a friend? Because early in my career, I had a client say to me, Beth, I got to be honest with you. You were helping me do this part of a website for a section of my business that I really was seriously contemplating closing out. Like, I just wasn't going to do it anymore. But we had this opportunity through a mutual grant thing for me to help revive her website. And so I started asking her questions. She remembered who she was and why she got into that business in the first place. And she said to me, she said, Beth, you helped me fall in love with my business again. And I said, I love that. But how do I put that in my messaging? I can't just go to the Chamber of Commerce networking meetings and tell people, when they say, what do you do? I say, I help people fall in love with their businesses again. And she's like, why not? That's exactly what you should be telling people that you do. And then I'll tell you how. I do that through helping them find the work, right? And that's when I went like, because what she was saying was her experience of what happened with me was exactly the language that would have attracted her to me in the first place.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. And so all of that, I'm afraid to filter people out. The other thing I'm going to tell you is nobody's asking you to buy a Super Bowl commercial where you have to blow all your ad budget on one thing and get it right at out of the gate. It's not what we're doing here. I have changed my adjective so many times. I have changed as I was putting this together. I was like, I don't think I've ever said it quite like that before. I need to go update that on my website, type of thing. And so it evolves. As you meet more people, as you do more things, you'll realize, actually, I thought I was helping them gain confidence, but what they really are telling me they get is whatever. And then you just change it.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Brooke, do we want to take a couple minute break here before I jump on? Thank you, Maxine. I enjoyed talking with you.
Thank you so much.
I would say let's just keep going unless you need a quick. No,
Yeah.
you're okay?
I'm good.
Oh, I'm so glad we get all this time with you because this was so valuable.
I've been working out of my home office for almost 3 years now, Brooke. I can sit here all day.
But I mean, really, this is like being at a high level college lecture where the teacher is not just doing it for you, which I almost kind of thought that's what you were going to do, but you're doing it even better, where it's like you're drawing out the answers that we already know, but we just can't pull them out of ourselves. And so, wow, like you're blowing my mind. I think you're blowing all of our minds. This is amazing.
And this is what I do. I mean, this is what a client session looks like. With me.
Like, I knew you were amazing, but I've never seen you at work like this. And I'm just like, oh, you're so good. You're just so good. Like, give yourself a pat in the back because you're a really good teacher. And I think we're getting a lot out of this. So I can't wait to see what you do with Sarah.
Awesome. So, everybody go like Maxine's Facebook page while it's up here. Let's make sure we're following Maxine. Give her some love there. And I know that we have amazing people in this group as well. So, I don't have the only answers on the planet. If something popped up in your mind while we were talking with Maxine and looking at the things that she has going on, or it would probably even be helpful to her with, a question that I would have about what you do is, okay, help her put herself in that user experience there. All right. Sarah.
Hi. I am nervous and terrified and excited all at one time after seeing that.
Yes. I'm clearly very scary and mean and
awesome.
And don't want to help anybody fulfill their purpose on this planet.
It's gonna be great.
Yeah. So Sarah's company is called True Self Business Relationship Marketing. And I had the opportunity to look at a few things that Sarah does, and you have a lot of fun. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what type of marketing you specialize in?
Yeah. So it's business relationship marketing. So I'm not the digital marketer. I am your face-to-face, pound the pavement with you, get in front of new people in your community, or teach you how to within your community if you're farther away. So my program really focuses a lot on sales and marketing. But when I first launched, I was niching into completely working with chiropractors was my main niche. And so I worked with all chiropractors in the areas of sales and marketing. And my program consisted of 3 pillars of creating new experiences, overcoming objections, activating referrals. And then the 4th was connecting community that I built in later. So those were like the main pillars. With that, I would also teach people how to have a successful lunch and learn. I would teach them to go out to an event and get a great ROI from it. Like actually have fun, set up your stage, have interactions that matter with people, have an ask that holds value, and actually come home with a lot of names and substance and leads and purpose felt from that event. So, and then the B2B, like how to walk in a door and have a conversation with someone that you don't know when you know that there's like a no soliciting sign and they are already going to be like, when you walk in. So I do have fun. I have a lot of energy and I love it. And recently, and I was telling Beth this, like when COVID hit, I really had to shift a lot of what I was doing. My son went through a very traumatic mental health breakdown. And so my business took a back seat. And I had to really shift to like, how can I make this digital, still work, but work less, and become a caregiver for my adult son, who is now 21. He was 18 at the time. And so during this time, I haven't poured a lot into clients. I've really been focusing on the clients that I had and still continue to do work with them and maintain those relationships. But it's just been, honestly, the past 2 weeks that I've really started. He's doing amazing. He's doing so well right now. We have a new team and all new things and implementations and things and interventions in place. And I'm finally feeling like I'm really able to get out and do what brings me that purposeful joy again, and where I feel God leads me. And I've already reached out to Sarah Jacobson a lot because I have directions in this I want to go to as well. But right now I really want to niche into sales and marketing. Like,
okay,
I want to really like make that the niche, like
so even that sales and marketing is still big, right?
Right. Okay. I know, but
when people say, oh my gosh, that's Sarah, she is an expert in X, what do you want their answer to be?
So I really want them to say, Sarah is an expert in building amazing relationships in community through sales and marketing, and taking sales and marketing to an authentic approach that's not spammy and pushy, but friendly and exciting. Like that's kind of the mode.
I currently have 0 pens in my office, but Um, anyway, okay. Some of the words that you just said there:
Yeah.
authentic, community.
Yep.
What else? There was something in there.
Connected.
Okay.
I want to.
So you have
help build-
relationship right in the name of your business. Business
Yes. Business
relationship.
relationship marketing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Talk to me about
Yeah.
relationship and community.
So when I talk to people about relationships and community, I often start with emotion. And then that was talked about in the last one too. Like emotion, once you can have, you develop an emotion or you connect with an emotion with someone, then there's a connection that happens. And from that connection, trust happens. And from that trust is a relationship. And you can't have that relationship if you go backwards in that, you have to have that trust to have the relationship. You have to have that connection that builds the trust to have that. And you have to start with the emotion that builds. So each piece has to form to have the relationship.
Yes, you are speaking my love language all over the place. Relationship, any relationship is trust, right? Is built on trust.
Yeah.
Brands and businesses build trust by being clear about what they do.
Yeah.
Being consistent in saying that over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same way. I mean, you tell me, Sarah, business, personal, anything that just comes up. Trust erodes when what happens? Why does trust erode in a relationship?
Trust erodes, or I'm sorry.
Erodes. Like you lose trust in somebody because why?
When a lie happens, when dishonesty pops up, when a promise isn't fulfilled.
Yeah.
When expectations aren't met.
Yeah. And sometimes when expectations aren't met. Yes. And so we tend to think of that as, oh, well, when we find out a business is doing, they're using non-humanitarian practices, or they stole this idea from somebody, right? We tend to think like, oh, I can't trust them anymore.
Right.
But the truth is that we as human beings distrust anything different.
That's true.
Okay? Because our bodies go, something about that is different. That doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
Okay? Nobody tells Coca-Cola that their advertising is too red, that they use too much red in their ads. Because if you went to buy Coke and it was in a blue can, you would not trust it.
Right. Great point.
Okay? Yeah. Yeah. You would be like, this is not what I expect.
True.
So really our business as marketers and in trust builders is, how do you give your clients, and even in the work that Maxine was talking about earlier, where do you give your clients a consistent experience so they know what to expect?
Mm-hmm.
And so if our messaging is broad, they're like, I don't know what to expect from you. I don't really know what you do.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. And I promise you that we are going to get so bored with that message and feel like we're saying the same thing over and over and over. But I have he'll be 18 and a little over a month, heading off to college this fall, like very soon. And if I went to him and I said, what are some of the things that I have taught you? What do we say in our house? What do we, right? Like from the time he was little, don't be rude, right? Like that was, or
Right.
that's rude. Or we taught, right? That consistency of message.
Yeah.
means that when he leaves my house, he has that foundation to build from.
Right. Makes
He
sense.
knows what to expect
Mhm.
when he comes back home, and he knows what's right. Whereas that's where we feel at home with people, when we're like, we've probably all had relationships at different times where it's kind of like, I feel like I'm walking on eggshells because I said this thing, and yesterday they reacted that way, but today they reacted this way, and I don't know what I'm going to get from them.
Right.
So trust is really knowing that, like, okay, when I call Sarah, she's going to remind me what. So I'm going to ask you the question this way.
Okay.
We're going to go into fantasy land here. I'm going to give you a Super Bowl commercial. This time I am going to give you a Super Bowl commercial.
Okay.
You got 30 seconds to say whatever you want to say to business owners. What's the most important thing that they can hear from you in 30 seconds?
Okay. That wasn't a question you asked before. I wrote down some.
No. I told you I'm not following a checklist here. I'm not.
All right. So I guess I would say if a client was interested in wanting to learn more, I would say, so Beth, what I do is I help with industries and organizations, entrepreneurs, nonprofits. I help you get out and connect more with your community by building trust and relationships. We do that by, first developing emotion, connecting, building that trust and relationships in different ways of creating amazing customer experiences, overcoming those hard objections that you get faced with all the time, really diving in and activating referrals and pounding the pavement and connecting with that community that you've missed for so long that really needs to know what your messaging is. Let's do sales and marketing that way and have fun with it and really do something different.
Okay. So emotions, wonderful. Yay. Good job.
I'm sweating.
Emotions, right? That was one of the first things you said.
Yeah.
Let's talk to your
Okay.
customers by connecting with them emotionally, right?
Right.
Okay. So let's go down that rabbit trail for a minute.
I like that trail. Okay.
Why?
My reason why I like the connection with emotions piece for people is because I think there is a lot of emotions with sales. There's fear and uncertainty. There's frustration. There's that high and low of excitement. You're going to do something really cool. And then there's this crap, they didn't even let me in the door. And then, they said they'd follow up and no one's answering their phone. And so I think there's a lot of emotions, but I think there's a lot of on the outside, but I think there's a lot of like inner emotions that happen too, where we can hype ourselves up or down or get stuck and really feel like, like we're uncertain about what we're doing, or we question our product, or we question our services and things like that. And so I come from a social work background. And so that empathy piece and that wanting to help people is very important to me. And so when I first started into marketing, it wasn't where I wanted to go, but I had a passion for health and wellness. So I took that marketing step first and tried to get on the other side of marketing, but help sell health and wellness to people. And so I was met with a lot of people harshly. I was met with a lot of like disgruntled people when I went into buildings. Like, I've already told them, no, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to see you. And there was a lot of emotion. So what I did is I developed a way to start going into a business with the opportunity in mind to collaborate and help. So instead of going in for a sale or to sell something like that, I went in to collaborate. And so my emotions switched when I was able to switch my perception of what I was doing. And I never went into a business without a plan and a purpose for how to help.
Okay. So perceptions change when we think empathy first. Is that a true statement?
That is a true statement. When we,
Okay. Would you say empathy or would you say emotions? What word would you use? Because time out here for just a second. One thing I didn't say to Maxine, you don't ever put anything on your website your social media, blog post anywhere that would not come out of your mouth as a human being. Don't let somebody, if you're like, I don't think I would say empathy, I would say feelings, then say feelings. Okay. Because again, trust, right? You're on your website. Now we get face to face on a discovery call. And I'm like, she doesn't sound like what I saw over there. Trust gone.
Right.
Okay. So so big, what I'm trying to do is like, let's get like big, like, carve this message into the side of it. This is my inspirational message kind of thing, right? Like, emotions and empathy will make you a better business person. Those are obviously my very stumbly words. You say that perception changes, because I just want to make sure I understand the work that you are doing with your business. So, for example, you might work with a chiropractic business. Okay. What sales and marketing are they? Is this to attract their actual like new chiropractic clients?
Patients. Yeah.
Patients, for example. Okay.
So it also trains their team. It's the team training component to, attract their patients.
Because everything is marketing, everything. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Because again, trust, right?
Right.
Like your commercial said this thing, but then I walked in and I met your people and they don't seem to think about it that same way. They don't seem to care. They didn't have any empathy for me. They didn't, right? Like it has to trickle all the way down, or trust.
Right.
Okay. So, hey, chiropractors, you need to care more about your clients' emotions, because, or is that not even the right direction of something you would say?
No, that I like that. I like where that's going. They definitely need to pay attention, because their customers, their patients are sending them a message no matter what they're saying. So if there's a transaction, they're coming in for a new patient appointment or a report of findings or to schedule, and there's a wall of, I think I'm going to wait to schedule, or I can't afford this right now, or my schedule is really crazy. Like there's an objection that they need to understand and that they need to connect with. And if they're constantly hitting objections, then we need to look at trust. Like there's something there that they haven't connected with the emotion. They haven't built the trust.
Brooke, did you get that? Because we need to put that down. If you are getting a lot of objections, we need to talk about trust.
Yeah. And I don't have that in my messaging.
That's a blog post. That's a FAQ. That's a something.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, that's just something I talk about. And that's where I need help with this, is like getting it into the messaging.
Because what the chiropractor knows is we can't close clients. We're not getting new patients.
Right.
Okay. Right.
Yep.
In some ways, they don't, I don't mean to say this meanly, but they don't care what the solution to that is. They just know ultimately
they need the result.
It's wrong, right? Yeah.
Right.
Like when my engine light comes on, I don't care what size wrench you are going to use to fix the problem.
Just get me there.
I just know my tire keeps running low. Fix it.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
So we sometimes there is a real mix between, and I know you've heard me talk about, we have to get out for ourselves. Like, this is what it matters. If I could carve this on as the 11th commandment, it would be, thou shalt remember your patients have emotions, right? kind of thing.
Right.
And that might be a fun exercise if everybody kind of wrote like if I could write the 10 commandments of how to deal with your clients, you would need to know that type of thing. So I love talking about that. And that is the part that people are going to sort of like lean their ear toward, like we were talking about before. The right people are going to kind of go, wait a minute, that's a different way of dealing. Like
Right.
I've had person after person after person after person. I used to do advertising sales. Okay.
Okay.
And so I know what it is for those business owners to say, you're the 50th person to be in here this week that's trying to sell me an ad in something. You're the 50th person this week that wants me to blah, 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 blah. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to know and acknowledge that for sure.
Right.
And so the minute that you say, if you're not getting new clients, you have a trust problem.
Yep.
People go,
Hmm.
wait a minute, because the last 50 people told me it's because I'm not doing TikTok, and it's because I'm not
Right.
and because because the new chain opened up next door, and that all I had to do was buy their program and they were gonna fix it. But you're wait a second,
Right.
you're seeing something a little different.
A little deeper. Yeah.
And then your messaging comes from that. And ultimately, you're going to get to this is what we actually do. So even just like as we look at your website here, and we all do this. Okay. So again, there's no judgment here. I can't tell
Okay.
you how many websites I have said we, and I'm sitting here at the moment going, crud, I think I built a website for somebody like this not that long ago. Maybe I need to go back and revisit that for them too.
Oh no.
We jump straight to here's what I do. Here's my products, right? Like you have a little introduction here of how can we support your growth. And I love that you have this quote here, but you might want to think about instead, like the first thing you want people to know about you is this is about trust, or we're going to talk about community, or it's about emotions.
Okay.
Again, it's that what adjective can you add that says, so like I was working with a web designer earlier this week, and we just added the word collaborative, right?
Yeah.
The collaborative approach to building your brand assets.
Okay.
Because everybody knows designers make logos and they make websites. And yes, I have to talk about that. Maxine, thanks for being here. I know we went longer. She just mentioned in the comments that she's going to hop off. We all enjoyed meeting you for sure. So just that one little, right? Instead of just saying, how can we support your sales and marketing growth? I'm going to tell you right now, no chiropractor on the planet knows how to answer that question.
Right. Okay.
If they knew, they would be doing it already.
Okay. So take the question right out. Like take that question right out then? Is that what you're...
I don't think it belongs here.
Okay.
Okay. Because this is your homepage, right?
Right.
And I'm going to backtrack for a second. Brooke said that she loved this picture of you. Yes, powerful. What you don't know, Brooke, is somewhere else on this page, you will see it revealed. She's wearing roller skates in this photo.
I like to speak on roller skates, and it's so funny is like most people, when they hear my name, they're like, so you're the one that spoke on skates. And I was like, yeah, what? Do you remember what I talked about? They're like, you were on skates. Like,
okay, so tell me why you do that.
On skates. Mm-hmm. So really the goal for wearing the skates is obviously to come out as different, right? Like I want to be different. I want to show fun. I want to show positivity, and I want to like get them thinking outside the box for sales and marketing. Right. And so, but part of like my storyline when I'm on skates is like the focus shifts, when our mind shifts. And so that like you may think someone is coming in a certain way, but really there's so much more to a person. There's so much more to their services and what they offer and things like that. So I really try to build the skates into my presentations.
I would love to encourage you to do that record it, get
Okay.
it on YouTube,
Yeah.
link it everywhere.
Okay.
And that's the thing, when people that say, what do, you send them there first.
Okay. I love skating. And the funny thing with this one is the place didn't have insurance for the person running it was like, wait, you're going on skate? She's like, I don't
Right.
have insurance. Please do not fall. So it was
Right.
it was great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Just like, and I'm gonna, Sarah, you and I are, Brooke, we're going to 11:45. Is that right? And then breaking, what time do I have till?
11:30.
11:30. Okay. I'm going to spend just a few more minutes with you, Sarah, and then do some wrap up
Okay.
stuff here. But one of the things that you will see is I am going to show you how I snuck some of my messaging in the 6 key questions and the things I've already told you without you noticing. So to give you a sense of who I am.
Right.
And one of the first things I said was, my philosophy of marketing is. Okay. And so your piece of that is, my philosophy is, I'm showing up on roller skates because it's different, it's fun, and it supports my philosophy of marketing. So even just, I would invite you to just like journal,
Okay.
brainstorm on free writing is what I call it, right? You're not writing content, you're just getting stuff out, right? My philosophy of marketing is that you have to care about people's emotions. My philosophy of marketing is that we've been doing it all wrong by telling people what they need instead of asking them how we can help.
Yes.
My philosophy of marketing is trust is the foundation, right? Like, just get it all out there and set your timer, write for at least 5 minutes and don't let yourself stop.
Okay.
If you don't know what to write, yeah, just keep writing. My philosophy of marketing is, my philosophy of marketing is, my philosophy of marketing is, until something comes
Okay.
out of you.
Okay.
Okay. And keep going.
Okay.
Because the first, you're going to get some big ideas out at the beginning, and then you're going to be like, I don't know what to say. And you're going to write like, my philosophy of marketing is it's cool, or right. And you're going to get to the like, I don't know what else to say. And then about minute 5 to 7, the gold is going to start to come out too. Right. So
That's
push
a great
through that. I
exercise.
don't think I have
Okay.
anything else to say. Okay. And that's what I need to see first on your website.
Okay. All right.
My philosophy of sales and marketing. And it doesn't have to be that exact words. I'm not saying it can be, if that feels good to you.
Okay.
But maybe it's just some sort of statement. And and again, just to give you an example, I'm not trying to sidetrack, but this is my website. Okay. And so it says right out here, words have power.
Right.
The key to
Okay.
your brand is your story, and I'm one hell of a storyteller.
I love that.
Here's why it matters. And then a little bit more here. And then, okay, now how do you want to do this together? Okay.
Okay.
So this, do you want to buy something with me? Like we were sort of talking about, comes after the, you already know you love me.
Right.
Phase. Fair? Right?
Yep. Get that.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
So again, let's take this dating analogy. We go to the bar, and or wherever you want to meet people. I did meet my husband in church. It's okay. But then then our first date was in a bar. So it's, somebody comes up to you and says, do you want to have dinner next week at the Japanese restaurant? It offers all you can eat sushi and blah, 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 and blah, 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 blah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And are you more concerned with where are we going to eat next week? Or are you more concerned with the companion you're going to have at your dinner?
With who I'm going with. Yeah.
right?
Okay.
So, we connect, we chat a little bit, and they say, Sarah, would you like to meet again? You are deciding that based on that mutual conversation, not based on what they can offer you, not based on the products that they sell.
Okay, that's great. Okay.
So get them hooked. And then say, if this sounds like the way you might want to think about doing sales and marketing, here's what we do next. Okay. Because you do then have to bring it to this might look like. That's a good phrase too, right? So here's my philosophy of marketing. That this might look like custom videos. This might look like training your team. This might look like helping you write a new flyer. This might look like, okay? Yeah. Because what people don't say, I need a new sales flyer. If somebody comes to you and says, I need a new sales flyer, please let your first question be why. Why do you need a new sales flyer? Yeah. Because they might actually, people think they know what they need, right? Like, again, I go to the auto repair place and I say, I need a new tire. Some places are just going to give me a new tire. All they care about is selling tires. They're going to give me a new tire. Yeah. And you know what I'm shopping for at that point? The person who can give me the cheapest tire the fastest. But the person that says, why do you think you need a new tire? Let's actually take a look at that together. Okay. What's happening? I like that a lot. I'm not buying based on price and timeline anymore. Like you'll say, I can't do this for you for another 2 weeks. Now, I know that doesn't work for flat tires, right? Again, emergency plumbing, fast. When can you get here is the only thing I care about, but we're not emergency plumbers. Yeah. You see where I'm heading with this? The services that you do for people are just the way, those are just the tools you used to get to their mission. Okay. Yep. But they don't, back to that, it was never a dress idea, like superhero thing. What they don't know is that it's about trust. Right. But you're going to help them understand that part of it. Okay. So cool. Do you have any questions for me about that? No, I guess I'm wondering, like the tab at the top, the click here for 52 new leads now, where you might think that should go, because it's a new resource I just put out with 52 actual resource leaders in the community that have said yes to meeting new people, and they're in a book together. And I'm trying to sell that so people have great connections. They don't have to do cold calls and have to go in places uncomfortably. But I really want to get that out for the people that are in the book. So I feel like it needs to be front and center, but I don't know maybe where else that should go or how that should go. Anywhere it feels like it fits naturally in the conversation. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Where you would say, I have this resource that might help you with that. Okay. If you were just again, we're hanging out, we're having coffee, we met, and we're talking about social media strategy, and you're like, well, actually, I have some resources that might help you with that. You could get them here. What I'm saying is it probably goes multiple places. Okay. That's what I was wondering, if I just needed to like sprinkle it in everywhere then. It probably goes multiple places. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I don't mind that it's right here, especially if you're using it as a lead magnet. What I don't advise is that you make this a pop-up that a lot of people do that with their lead magnets, right? They're like, oh, I want to get everybody's email addresses, so I'm going to offer my lead magnet as soon as they get on the website. I just met you. I don't know if I want your download.
Yeah,
I'm trying to see who you are, and what
it
you
doesn't even
do.
collect that. No.
Yeah. Can I order my coffee before you're offering to take me to dinner next week?
Right.
Right?
Okay, so maybe changing the word of that though, because I could see how they may think that is a tool that they.
Oh, I don't care if
subscribe
I don't care if it is. I mean, we might. I wouldn't mind a little bit of like, here's what it's going to help you with. Click here.
Okay.
What is the 52 new leads? Yeah. By the way, did you come up with this concept of 52?
Yeah. I had
Okay.
to find a way to connect.
I have
without-
looked at your stuff then somehow through Brooke in the group, because I remember reading this and going, that is
I know.
freaking brilliant.
Your name's familiar. Yeah, this was my idea.
You need to talk more about that too.
Okay. Yeah.
So here's the other thing though. When you're doing posts other places and you're like, I have a free guide, you're going to bring them right to this page first.
It's not
the URL
free,
is
yeah.
going to click right into here, right?
Yeah. But
Okay.
it's a like they have to buy it. Yeah.
Well, that's fine.
Yeah.
But this is good to have here because it might be something that they get to your page and they're like, oh yeah, that's how I know her, right? So some of those it's just connecting.
I love giving that
Probably-
a little bit more meat there.
It
Yeah.
probably goes multiple places. The other thing I would say is I kind of see your name back here, but get you higher in the page, right? And maybe it is even is,
it is more
right
on the
here.
about page. But
Hi, I'm Sarah, and this is my philosophy of whatever.
Yeah.
We hide all that stuff on the about page. We're like, oh, people could go over to the bio. No, you are the
Makes
business.
sense. Yes.
Get it up there, front,
Great point.
center.
Yeah.
I do want to take a minute. I'm going to do a quick group exercise. So if you can see the screen, let's look at this review from Sarah. I'll see if I can make my screen a little bit bigger. Okay. All of you, what do you see in this review that Sarah needs to say about herself? What gold is this client giving Sarah? Confidence. Taught us how to create an atmosphere we all love. Because what happens, what you know, Sarah, is that when the new patients aren't coming in, right? The chiropractor's like, we're just not getting new patients, and everybody's grumpy. That's their diagnosis of the situation.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
Your job is to say those are symptoms.
Right. Use their language, right?
Let's diagnose the cause.
Yep.
Okay.
They love that.
And so then when you can point at go for that. I am all for, you got a metaphor, you ride that baby as far as you want to go. So I would love to see from you, and feel free to email it to me or send it to me direct message later if you want. I would love for you to write the side effects of working with Sarah are.
Ooh, I love that.
Okay. The
Okay.
side effects of working with Sarah is that we now have an atmosphere everybody loves and wants to grow in. The
Love that.
side effect of working with Sarah is that you'll grow an environment both your patients and your staff both love. Who the heck doesn't want that? And how is that not going to create, how does that not create the feeling that when new patients walk in the door, they just go, something's different here.
Right. Okay.
But they just get that. And the truth is that we don't teach people how to do that.
Right.
We don't train. I mean, I would imagine that a big part of what you do, if you're not doing it already, and I'll apologize if you do, is the onboarding of new employees.
Yes.
Your hiring practices of new employees.
Yes.
right?
All over and over. Yes.
Yes. What questions do you add to your interview process?
Mm-hmm.
So you bring people into your clinic
Right.
that are going to help you create the type of environment that new clients want to be a part of.
Okay. I have not worded it like that.
Because it's not, as you know, when we look at that whole thing, you can put anything you want in a flyer. You can say anything you want on a TikTok. You can do any of that. But if when I walk in the door or I call to make an appointment, I don't believe it, I'm out.
Right.
And so every element of that business, like marketing is everything. Everything is marketing. Everything is your brand. Your brand is not your logo. Your brand is not your website. Your brand is what other people say you are.
Yep.
And if you don't tell them what you want them to say, they will make up their own story of what your brand is.
For sure.
And when your brand is that, you have to make sure everybody, your vendors, your employees, your guy who cleans your parking lot, like, right? Like all of that. Anybody that is in your space is telling that same story. And that's what you know how to tell people to do that they don't know they need.
Right.
And if you said, well, I'm going to fix everything from what you really need is a whole rebranding process, they'd be like, okay. So that's the superpower. That's the costume you wear underneath that little by little you're going to reveal to people. Like, this is the superpower I'm actually bringing to your business.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Yep.
But at the beginning, how can we support your sales and marketing growth? I don't mind the question if it became a what if you could get more clients by whatever. What if your client retention problem is really a trust problem? What if your toxic office culture is really a nobody understands the message? They're, nobody really knows why they're here and what they're doing, right? A series of what if questions.
I like that so much more.
Okay. So, here's a tip for everybody on the call too. Read through your reviews. I had one client that actually put them all into some sort of a program that then spit out a word cloud so it could tell her which words were said most often in her own reviews. I don't know what tool she used, but go back and read your own reviews. Your clients are telling you what you do and why they love you and what you need to tell other people. And so if 3 reviews in a row said create and grow an environment, then you tell people you create and grow an environment. If 3 reviews in a row says we learn to make genuine connections, then you tell people that's what you do. Cool. Your clients have already told you what you're good at.
Okay.
And if it's a double-edged sword, right? If you're like, that's actually not what I wanted to be known for. That's actually not what I do. Like I've done some very low end quick websites for people. But if my reviews started saying, Beth is the best web designer, I'd be like, no, that's not what I want to do. I need to not do so much of that. I definitely need to not talk about it. And I need to, right? Like I need to help redefine.
Okay. Yep.
All right. We have just a few minutes left. I got to thank you, Sarah, for being on here. It's an absolute invitation to you. You essentially, won this session. And once people are my people, if you want to email me something, send it in direct message. I will respond to that. I only charge the people in my circle if we sit down, do one-to-one, or you want me to actually write something specific for you. So
Love that.
Anyway,
Thank you, Beth. I
my
appreciate
people
it.
now, Sarah.
Thank you.
All right. So let me wrap up here with you with just a couple of follow-up points here. When you access the freebies that are available for this event, you will find a PDF of my 6 key questions. They're essentially, what do I sell? Who's it for? Why does it matter? How do we do it? Why hire me? And why do it now? We all learned that stories were about who, what, when, where, why, and how, right? Messaging is still the same. But let me show you here kind of what I told you earlier about what I am and how I do and how simple some of this can be. I don't think I read this out very well at the beginning, I'll be honest. So I'm word girl Beth Hess. I help already amazing brands put that amazingness into words that naturally attract ideal clients and filter out the misfits. All right, 1 sentence. Who I work with, what I do. As a former journalist, I use questions and a conversational approach to help you answer 6 key questions your customers want to know before they decide if you're the right fit for meeting their needs. Why me? I'm dropping that little, I'm a journalist, I bet I know how to ask you a good question and tell a good story, right? And how do we do it? A conversational approach. We use a conversational approach to help you answer questions. So that's like we were talking about before. Conversational, that's an adjective that you can put in there. Why? Because messaging and marketing isn't about convincing everyone to buy your product. It's about inviting the right people to partner with you for the change they already suspect they want and need. Why should you do this? I could have just as easily said my philosophy of marketing is, right? But either of those is telling you why it matters. And then just sort of sum it up. The real key here is you. Watch what happens when you put more you in your messaging. And that's kind of a hint to the why now. Because when I say why now, I'm not talking about the kind of urgency of like, this is a limited time offer or pricing expires. I'm saying, what is the cost of you not starting this today? Okay. So answer these 6 key questions on a high level. And then the more you keep answering them, so then I might do a blog post on, hey, I was a journalist. And one of the first things they taught us was to make sure that you always have a notebook in your pen, with you, because you never know when the story is going to come up, which is probably why I still carry a pad of sticky notes with me everywhere today, because I never know when an idea is going to hit. So there's sticky notes here. If you went to my bedside table, there's a pad of sticky notes. If you were in my car, I literally have sticky notes everywhere, because when ideas pop up, I like to jot them down. And when I see ideas that I guarantee you now, in the next probably 24 hours, Sarah, I'm going to see a post somewhere that I'm like, that would help Sarah, and I'm going to send it to her. Right. Okay. I can't help myself. So do you see how I took, though, that story of I'm a former journalist, and so now it makes me do this, and it helps you because in a conversational way, like that's what I would say to you at a backyard barbecue. In fact, guys, I know I'm holding this over for just a minute. I'm almost done, I promise. I got in trouble this week with a business owner who sent me an email that said, I would appreciate that when you come in. I went into a business to take a few photos to help them with a post and to show them what was going on. Okay. The owner was not in the store over the weekend when I happened to stop by. Her store staff was there. I could not help but myself except talk like this and say, hey, when I'm taking photos, I usually think about it like this. And could we move this product over here so we can get a slightly different photo? And here's why I'm doing it. Like, I couldn't help but explain to people what I was doing. The owner sent me an email saying, please don't advise my staff members on how to do our marketing. Just talk directly to me. And I'm just thinking, I was just talking like me. That's just the conversations I like to have with people. But anyway, I digress. Okay. So I think you've learned I'm not the kind of coach here. I'm not going to like, yes, we draft an I statement. Yes, we're going to talk about ideal client avatar. Yes, we're going to get to all that, but it's going to be so totally from your perspective. You're going to answer the questions. You're going to want to know what to do. This is what we do. Okay. Mini messaging makeovers, honestly, is not something I typically do. That's something Brooke and I came up with for this event. I honestly don't typically do just like a 1 hour session with clients. We usually go a little bit deeper into things, but for all of you here, I am offering the same type of experience that Sarah and Maxine had a chance to go through. If you would like to consider doing that one-on-one with me, I'm offering you a significant rate discount, only $47 for 1 hour. We will do exactly what we just did here. And if you want to say, if there's a specific thing you're like, I need help on this sales page, or my Facebook posts don't feel right. Like, we don't have to talk overall strategy. If there is a specific message thing that you want to make sure that we get to, we will focus on that as well. We took kind of a broad approach on that today. I have no doubt that you have a lot of, fantastic ideas just based on the conversation that we had. I hope you got a ton of stuff. I hope you know how you want to rewrite some of your own copy and content. Love it. Take it. My gift. But if you would like the opportunity to talk about it more one-on-one, then that is my offer to you.
Thank you, Beth. This has been wonderful. I think we could go for 2 more hours.
I was gonna say, thank you for giving me the extra hour. I don't know how I would have done.
Yeah, that worked out. I think the Lord knew we needed that. And
yeah, that's why I also don't do 15-minute discovery calls, because it
just takes time, right? Yeah, it does. And I'm already signed up with you to do a messaging makeover because, I think all of us, even if we feel like our content is pretty good, it can always be improved. And I think we can just continually level up. And I know that Beth can help us do that. So definitely take advantage of that. That's like crazy cheap to work with your geniusness. So thanks for offering that. We are going to go on a lunch break now. So I apologize if you are on the West Coast and it's not lunchtime yet, but you can go take a snack break and then join us back here at 12:30 Eastern. So that's like just under an hour. And we are going to be drawing a prize. And then we will have Joanne Homestead with us, and we're going to be writing some email nurture sequences. So that is going to just kind of build on what we've done this morning and go into the whole email side of it all, because there's a million different ways that we need to be sending our messaging out, right? And that's just another component of it. So I hope that you all will join me back here at 12:30, and we're going to get started right on the dot. So make sure you're back, and we'll see you in a little bit. Thanks for hanging out with us this morning. Thanks, Beth.
Thank you.